This is my first video of me just helping to educate others on how to, navigate AWS. So what you see on the screen right now is my AWS Management Console, and I'm gonna cut off the top piece of it because it shows my account ID, which is a personal number that you should keep to yourself. But the first thing I'm going to do is to show you how to create a elastic cloud compute machine, right? So right here, you may have something different from what I have. However, if you go to the search box at the top, you can type EC2, and then you can click on it once you search, right? And then you can put it in your favorite. You can go straight to the top features. What I'm going to do, I'm going to click here and show you the landing page, right? Whenever you're on a landing page, if you click on the EC2 right at the top, or the service name, then you can read about the service, see some of the use cases, see some of the related services, and they do a good job of showing you the pricing, documentations, right? So there's a lot of information there. I'm going to take it slow, right, for persons that are just getting started. I want this to be educational and helping others navigating AWS, whether it's be an interview or they just want to learn about the cloud. The first thing I'm going to do is to click on instances. Once you click on instances, you can see that I have a few instances running. What I'm going to do, I'm going to terminate this one at the top, and I'm going to also terminate this one, right? So you can go ahead and stop that instance if you have an instance running. I want to make it, I want to create a new instance. So I'm going to launch a new instance. And once you click launch instance, this is the gateway to creating your virtual machine, right? So you have the potential to do whatever you want, right? And we're going to do so right now. So the first thing that we're going to do is to name our instance. And I'm going to name my instance public instance A. You can name it anything. You can change that name at the when you launch it, so it doesn't have to be a name, a permanent name. As we go down, we're going to select the operating system and the application that we want, right? So as you can see, you have Amazon Linux as the default. However, you can choose from Mac OS, Ubuntu, Windows, Red Hat, and the list goes on and on. You can even browse and see AMIs or Amazon Machine Images from the AWS Marketplace. So the world is basically yours. You can build and choose from whatever you want. Once we have the machine selected or the operating system, we're going to take a look at, hey, what do we want on that AMI? Do we want Linux 2 with .NET, or do we want just Linux 2023 AMI, which is also free tier eligible, right? So you can use these within your free tier, and you get certain amount of hours you can use them without it charging you. So I'm going to click on the first one, right? And once you select that, the next thing that we're going to do is the architecture. 64-bit ARM or x86. That's fine. We can always choose 64-bit in this one. Now, how fast or how resourceful do you need that instance, right? And as you can see, you have a ton of choices. Look at that. I'm scrolling, going all the way to the bottom of the list. There's so much you can choose from any of the business cases, right? If you want 32 vCPUs, 512 gig of memory, or if you can scroll up, those are not available though based on the operating system we choose. We can scroll up. We can do a 96 vCPU, 1952 gigs. That's a lot. So I'm going to go back at the top and I'm going to choose a 1 gigabyte memory, free tier eligible, because I want this to be educational and cost effective, right? So when you're becoming an IT person, you want to weigh your costs versus functionality, right? You just don't want to pick the best of the best. You want to make sure that the person that you're designing the application for gets exactly what they need, right? So you have to weigh the pros and the cons. Here we have a key pair, right? This is basically your private key that you will create in order to connect to that instance. What I'm going to do, I'm going to choose an instance or a private key that I created already. So I'm going to choose this one right here. Or you can create a new private key, name it. Once you click create, it will download that private key on your machine, and you want to keep it securely, right? And it's calling it out here, as you will need it to connect to your instance after, right? So I'm going to select an existing one, and then the next thing that we're getting to is the network settings. How do you want to connect to your EC2 instance? And that's what we're going to choose right now. So right now it's selected on my lab VPC. I want a public IP address, what subnet it's going in. I can explain all of that. Just let me know in the comments. And then the firewall. How do I want to connect? What application or what application am I putting on this Linux machine? Is it going to be a web server? Is it going to be an internal application? All of that requirement will depend on how you secure your EC2 instance, right? So I'm going to select an existing group, and I'm going to select just a default one. I'm going to select my IP address because it's there already. Now, after the network is finished, we're going to do storage. How much gigs do you want the root volume to be? I'm going to select 50 gigs, and I'm going to make sure it's 3PT3. But what I'm going to also do is to add an additional volume, and I'm going to put it as 30, right? As you can see here, you get up to 30 gigs of EBS general purpose or magnetic storage. So you want to make sure that it's general purpose or magnetic. So I'm going to move magnetic because that's going to bring our costs way down. And then also what I can do is to add user data, where if I'm building a web server, I can paste this here. It will go ahead and install that once the PC is booting up, right? And then on the right now, I can select how many instances do I want. Do I need 1 or do I need 7 right? So I'm going to choose 1 because I want to keep the cost low. Then you can review what you're having, right? And you can see what you're eligible for within your free tier. Once we do that, then we can launch the instance. Success, right? You can take a look at the logs. Everything was successful. Then we can click on the instance that we just created, right? As you can see, it's running, but right now it's still initializing, right, on the status check. So that means it's still booting up, it's installing the operating system, it's going through its motion to make sure that, hey, once you're ready to connect to it, then it's ready. So once we get a 2 of 2 here, then we're good to connect to it, and you can refresh and see what exactly it's doing, right? So I'm going to pause there for a moment, and then we'll come back once the status check is full. All right. While that is going, I want you to scroll a bit down and look at the details, right? And here it's going to provide you with a lot of information that you need. The instance ID, which is important because that identifies the EC2 instance. If it has an IPv6, this one does not. The public IP address, right? This is the IP address that if you try to connect to it or ping it, you might not get a response because the security group is probably blocking you. But it has a public IP address where I can limit who I want to connect to it, right? Via the security group. So there's a lot of information here. The status and alarms, that's what it's initializing, right? So as you can see, the system reachability check has been passed. So that's one of two. And then we're waiting on the instance status check. And now it's running. It was running just now. Let me just refresh. Still initializing at the top. We should see a 2 of 2. You can monitor your EC2 instance when it starts communicating.